Hi there! Rhythm is nothing more than the result of the space between the notes and the length of those notes. The variation of space creates a rhythmic pattern, and the only thing that the musician needs to do is to control that space in a natural way with a spot-on time feel. And the more control we have over this space and length, the more control we have over the desired rhythm that applies to the music we are playing. Now, when talking about rhythm, one thing keeps coming up, and that is counting. Counting is the single most valuable technique to create an internal metronome, which in the end leads to a great rhythm feel and musical freedom. Well, that said and done, it's essential for making music to understand that rhythm is often way more present and important than the actual note pitches in a musical performance. So, you can play the wrong notes with the right rhythm and get away with it. But the right notes with the wrong rhythm is most likely to be punished right away. Now, besides counting and developing an inner clock, metronome or pulse, some other aspects are important and should be part of your studying practices. And one of those things is obvious but essential, and that is mimicking and copying. If you admire a certain person or musician for its rhythmic ability or whatever other abilities he might have, just try to mimic his or her playing. Now try to copy the feel and the way this person plays. In the end, you will gain a substantial progress by this. It's just like how we learn to talk. It is all about watching others do it. So, it could be a very good idea to play with people that are better in certain aspects than you, so you can learn from that person that you could see as a model or master of the thing that you want to learn. Another way to improve yourself in any aspect of making music is to record yourself and watch and hear yourself play. Well, I do this a lot myself and sometimes with students too, so they can be the judge of their own playing. Maybe you need to work on rhythm in certain bars, or maybe your bands are not quite in tune. Now, when listening to yourself in the studying phase, you can detect those flaws and improve them in the most efficient way. And then, when you're satisfied with how you play, then you'll be much more confident and certain of yourself when performing. Now, once Adam Neely talked about, in one of his videos, about mismatched negativity, which is a complex study to how the brain processes audio in certain situations. In this study was also discovered that humans can hear timing mismatches, rhythmic errors, much easier in the lower frequencies. Now, this is why bass players must have a good rhythm. And guitarists can get away with much less steady rhythmic playing. It became clear that humans are pretty flawless in rhythm. And strange enough, some animals too, like for instance parrots and dolphins. Now for instance, if you would relax and count from 10 to 1, all the numbers would be spoken in a steady rhythm. And that is because pronouncing numbers, and especially the act of counting, is for humans' natural cadence process. Most humans would do this always in a regular and metronomical manner. Now, when playing music, we measure time in our brain, and in fact we call such a division a measure. Then, while we play and do all kinds of difficult motoric actions, we divide measures in beats, and even divide the beats in smaller sections and so on. And still keep a flawless steady time feel. Now, maybe one of the best examples of doing an extremely complex rhythmic performance is a notorious black bass written by master composer Frank Zappa. Now, if you think about it, this is a really amazing performance. I mean, this is multitasking at the highest level, right? So, the only thing we have to do is count. Now, humans can count in a flawless, regular cadence. It's simply confined in our ability to speak in a natural way. So, if we count while we play, we can play with a regular and steady rhythm, or at least practice it. So if we play and try to keep the rhythm just by counting with no metronome or drum track, we will improve our time feel dramatically. And this, my dear viewers, is the real secret to improve your rhythmic abilities. When counting, try to tap your foot on the beat. This can be a good addition to counting. The foot lands on the floor on the beat and lifts off the beat. Now, to make a plan for improving and developing rhythm, we can divide the subject into smaller pieces to create micro goals. This way of studying will help you to organize the learning process of this comprehensive aspect of making music. So this is what I like to teach you in the next 2 videos. Basic rhythms, intermediate rhythms, advanced rhythm patterns with rhythm blocks, syncopated rhythms, and triplets and sextuplets. So the summary of rhythm starts with the very basics. 4/4 beats, the 3/4 beats and the 2/4 beats, whole notes, half notes and quarter notes and 8 notes, and no syncopation. Now I'm guessing you are all familiar with these concepts, but for the sake of crystal clarity, it's smart to practice these basic rhythms anyway. So when you play a rhythm, always count. Counting will change you from an alright rhythmic player to a good one. And here's an exercise in a 4/4 beat. We count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 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 1, 2, 3, 4. And we could do an exercise counting in 8 notes. Each beat has 2 sound bites, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Be aware of the picking technique. Use a down and an upstroke alternate picking for 8 notes to help you to keep your rhythm. And here is number 3 in the 3/4 beat, and obviously we count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. Now this wasn't too hard, I guess. Now that you know about basic time signatures, quarter notes and 8 notes, we can level up. And we can do that in 2 ways. First we look at the dotted note and other meters like 6/8 meters, and then we'll create a rhythmic building block. Special notes in rhythm is a dotted note. And this dot extends the note in length by half of its own length. So a dotted half note, which is 2 beats long, becomes 3 beats with a dot behind it. And a quarter note of 1 beat becomes 1.5 beat when there is a dot behind this note. Here is an example of a 4/4 beat. In this example, the dotted note has a length of 3 8 notes. So we play the first and the last note of a group of 4 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 6/8 time signature there are 6 beats in the measure, and instead of a quarter note, the 8th note is now 1 beat. That implies that the quarter note is now 2 beats, so that's quite different from what we've seen with the basic time signature. In the 6/8 meter, a quarter note with a dot becomes 3 beats, and a half note with a dot becomes 6 beats. The beats in a 6/8 time signature are divided in 2 groups of 3 beats. The accent lies on the first note of a group of 3, and this makes it a 2-part time signature. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More complex rhythm figures and these kind of meters will follow in the second part of this video. A lot of rhythm patterns that you will find in mainstream music but also in other genres can be simplified to a combination of a few building blocks. Now each block is exactly 1 beat long. And many strum rhythms of pop and rock songs can be broken down in these smaller rhythm blocks. Now, besides the whole notes, half notes and quarter notes, we can distinguish 7 blocks. 2 8 notes, 4 16th notes, 1 8 note and 2 16th notes, 2 16th notes and an 8th note, which is the mirror of the previous one, a dotted 8th note and a 16th note, a 16th note and a dotted 8th note, which is again the mirror of the previous one. And one 16th note, followed by an 8th note, and followed by a 16th note. Now, like I said, each building block can be combined with other building blocks to create a proper rhythm. Now, we're going to analyze the blocks more in depth, but for now, I will give you an example of how such a configuration of building blocks can lead to a steady strum pattern. So now we are going to look at the actual building blocks. Again, and I can't stress this enough, be aware that you always count. Now the next exercises are all in a 4/4 beat, so you'll be counting to 4 in each measure. Rhythm block 1 consists of 2 8th notes that together create one beat. So we will count this way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now this is of course a very straightforward rhythm building block. Now let's play an exercise combining this block with quarter notes. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now the next easy rhythm block is the one with 4 16th notes that together form one beat. Because there are 16 of these notes in a 4/4 measure, we call them 16th notes. When we count, we create an accent on the first note of the group of 4. And we count these notes like this. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the... Now, could you hear the accents? Now it's vital that you nail this pattern like a boss, because this is your foundation of a lot of rhythms that you will encounter. So let's call this our master rhythm block or master pattern. This rhythmic building block is probably the most used micro pattern in pop and rock, and you'll find this strum bite in many songs. Also in 80s rock songs, this is the one to go. This is how the pattern relates to the master rhythm block we've just learned. This pattern is most often picked or strummed with a downstroke, downstroke and an upstroke. Like in this iconic song Barracuda by Heart. Now let's do an exercise combining this block with only quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and the 2, 3 and the 4. 1 and the 2, 3 and the 4. And now let's make it a little harder and combine this with rhythm block 1 and quarter notes. And don't forget to count and repeat this a lot, even if you think you have nailed it. Keep practicing to develop your inner metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4 and 1, 2, 3 and the 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4 and 1, 2, 3 and the 4. And finally, let's throw in the master rhythm block 2. And one more thing, in a 4/4 beat, try to make accents on the first and the third beat of the measure. Those are the strongest beats. The second and fourth beat are weaker beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1E and the 2 and the 3E and the 4 and 1, 2 and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2 and the 3E and the 4 and 1, 2 and the 3E and the 4. This block is the same as the rhythm block that we've just practiced, but now it's mirrored. This is less common than its mirror image, but is often used in combination with its twin brother. Use a down, up, downstroke for this micro pattern, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and... Now let's combine this with rhythm block 2 and quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2E and 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and 3E and the 4. 1, 2E and 3E and the 4. 1E and 2E and 3E and the 4. 1, 2, 3, next exercise is a little more difficult. It's a combination of rhythm blocks 1, 2 and 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and 4 and the 1 and 2 and the 3 and 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and 4 and
Now keep counting while you play and tap your foot to develop that inner pulse.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and 4 and the 1 and 2 and the 3 and 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and 4 and
Block 5 is a very common yet difficult rhythm to master. You must understand its structure well so that you can see how it relates to the master rhythm pattern. Now, as you can see, the dotted 8th note has a length of 3 16th notes. We play the first and the last note of a group of 4 16th notes. So we'll count like this.
1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4.
Let's combine this with the master rhythm block.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4.
Now combine this with 8 notes and the master rhythm block.
1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4. 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4.
And finally, all blocks we've seen until now together in a common rhythm pattern.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the 1 and the 2 and 3 and the 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and the 1 and the 2 and 3 and the 4 and 1, 2, 3.
Now block 6 is the same rhythmic pattern as the previous one, but now it's mirrored. So when you master the previous one, this shouldn't give you too much of a headache. It relates to the master rhythm block like this, and you can count this rhythm block in the following manner.
1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2.
This is how you would count it in a combined rhythm pattern.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and the 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and.
This last rhythm block is common in, for instance, South American music or music with a specific groove which has a lot of movement. And you want to shake your hips with this one. It's related to the master rhythm pattern like this. And we count this pattern in this way.
1 E and the 2, 3 E and the 4, 1 E and the 2. 3 E and the 4, 1 E and the...
When we combine this with the master rhythm block, it sounds like this.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and the 2, 3 E and the 4, 1 E and the 2, 3 E and the 4, 1 E and the 2, 3 E and the 4, 1 E and the 2, 3 E and the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And here it is combined with some other blocks, like done in Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd.
1 and 2 E and the 3 and 4 E and the 1 and 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1. 1 and 2 E and the 3 and 4 E and the 1 and 2 E and the 3 and the 4 E and the 1 and 2 E and the 3 and 4 E and the 1 and 2 E and the 3 and the 4 E and the 1.
Now, as you can see, this is not the easiest one, but it flows a kind of natural, which makes it an intuitive rhythm block to use. So in part 1 of gaining and improving rhythmic abilities, we have seen the philosophy and the power of developing an inner metronome, or inner pulse if you like, through basic rhythm patterns and some predefined rhythm blocks to build a more advanced rhythmic pattern. Now in the next video, we are going to look at the syncopated rhythms and project this on the things we have learned in this video. Also, we are going to take a look at a special rhythm block that is common to all kinds of music, but especially blues and jazz. and that is the triplet and all its family members that will crystallize in the shuffle feel. Now, for now, I hope this was crystal clear and you have a handle to practice and develop your rhythmic abilities. Stay tuned for part 2, and greets from the Netherlands, and I see you soon. Bye.